And if I catch the landing gear on that barbed wire fence, it's going to flip me into the ditch and I'm going to die. Back in about 2003, I had flown my Bonanza, my B-36TC, to Burlington, Colorado, with my wife for the farm, some more farm work. And from there I went to Yuma, Colorado, which is like 90 miles north of there, because that's where my farm is. And from there, I took a 13-minute flight from Yuma to Akron, Colorado, and they had mission planning room, and they had all the amenity. I was going to file IFR from Akron, Colorado, back to Deer Valley. Well, so there I was at cruise, minimum cruise altitude from Yuma to Akron, and I leaned for cruise and everything. I was leaning rich a peak. And as I was in the traffic pattern, and I recite all of the checklists, and my wife reads them just like in an airline. And midfield downwind, gear down, all of that kind of stuff, and the mixture's full, rich, prop full forward. And I'm holding my minimum airspeed, and I'm turning base to final, and I look out and I see the Vasseys, and I see that I'm slightly high on the Vasseys, so I leave the power back, and as I'm getting on down to the Vasseys, I push the power one knob width forward at about 200 feet above the ground, and the engine quit. And for sure, if the engine quits, you want to know your emergency procedure cold, because I immediately took all of them, shoved them full forward, reached down, switched to a different fuel tank, checked the mag switches on and boost pump on high, and at the same time I'm doing that, I'm getting optimal glide speed of 105 knots. Now this is 200 feet above the ground. If you do the calculation, you're going to touch the ground in 8 seconds from the time the engine quits. So you got to do a lot of shit, and you got to think about it very quickly. And I realized I was going to touch down before the county road, which was 90 degrees to my track. And in that part of the country, the ditches on either side of the county road are 6 to 8 feet deep. So now I've got a problem. I'm going to touch down before I get to the road, and if I do, I'm dead, because it'll stop when I go into the ditch. And there's a barbed wire fence, 4-strand barbed wire fence. That barbed wire's about that far above ground, the top strand, and my gear's down. And if I catch the landing gear on that barbed wire fence, it's going to flip me into the ditch, and I'm going to die. So yes, I think about all of this in less than 6 seconds. And I stayed in ground effect, that's the important part, stayed in ground effect, but kept the main landing gear above that barbed wire fence. Got across the road, and 15 feet on the other side of the road, on the other side of the barbed wire fence, on the other side of the road, the airplane stalled. Now, since I was in ground effect, what's my stall speed? Is it the published 56 knots? No. A heck of a lot slower, somewhere closer to 30-something. And it fell out of the sky, and the landing gear stayed there, and the airplane went, looked like the pilot forgot to put his gear down. The airplane slid another 715 feet, came to a stop, and I turned to my wife, and I said, "Are you okay?" And she said, "Yes, okay. If that door opens on the right side, get out." And it opened normally, and she got out. And I'm sitting there, and I'm finishing up all the checklists, shutting everything off. I pulled up the information off the AOPA site listing on my my Garmin, and called the airfield manager. And he answered instantly, and I said, "You've got an airplane 1,000 feet short of the runway, on the northwest end of the runway, just crashed, send emergency equipment." And so he did. First person there was the sheriff, And he has the right questions. Are you okay? Everybody okay? Yes. Everyone in that county, every sheriff officer in that county, because they didn't have anything else going on, showed up, along with the ambulance and fire trucks and everything was fine. Anyway, the important part of the whole thing is anytime you have an event, you've got to notify FAA, who will probably take care of some of the others, the NTSB, and your insurance company. And informed all of those people, and they told me what to do. The insurance company primarily said, if you got a 3/64 Allen wrench, take the instruments out, and if you're leaving the area, I'll be there as quickly as I can. And but I had been the NTSB Go rep for Honeywell Air Transport, and so I was recognized by the NTSB as one of the people who shows up do accident investigations all around the world for the NTSB. And so I asked if I could be a party to the accident, and they said sure. And the airplane was wings were taken off, and they got from Beagles in Greeley, Colorado. They came, and they didn't bring enough because my wings were virtually full of fuel of about 100 gallons of 100 low lead. And they didn't have enough 55-gallon drums. So they took the wings off, hauled it to Greeley. And when they were there, they put the fuselage up on some stands, put a new prop on it, started the engine. They couldn't get it to run unless the boost pump was on high and everything working just right. So they figured it was an engine-driven fuel pump failure. So they hired the A&P mechanic to come in and remove all of the garbage that's in the way, the turbocharger, equipment, and the fuel control unit, so he could get in to change the... And as he was going in there, he found out that the mixture control wire that runs and moves the mixture on that engine-driven fuel pump, the fairing has a bracket that comes off the back of the engine, and a thing that looks like a spring wound tight with the wire running in it is clamped tight, and that's, well, nobody, when they installed the engine, clamped it. So the thing, when I went full rich on downwind, it did this and the mixture did not go rich. And so when I pushed the power up, it was lean and the engine quit because it was too lean. There's no way for me to know that. So after it was all over, 3 months or whatever time frame, all the agencies now wanted to talk to me, and I said, go. And the FAA and the NTSB guys said, 1 in 1,000 people would live through this. You did everything right. And the insurance man says, and your insurance rate is going down. And he did not use the deductible on the insurance. He gave me the full insured value, which wasn't enough. But anyway, so I thought that he'd go after the guys that installed the engine for not making sure that... Now, as soon as I got home here, I found every A&P and IA I could and showed them where that was and said, do me a favor. Every airplane that you can find and everybody you know that has a Bonanza with fuel injection, have them safety wired.
Hey gang, here from Hangar Talk. Thank you so much for plugging into the channel, liking, subscribing. We appreciate all you continuous subscribers, and we can't wait to see you on the next one.